It's theory time. Last week we talked about the potential idol angel Sora and her ears. Today we will talk about ears in general. We will not try to relate these issues to one single operator or character, but instead on something way more general and also way more important, the Arknights' origin story, the possible ancient times of Terra. As always, these theory videos are very highly speculative, so take it with a grain of sugar. You probably already have enough salt from the Surta banner. I'm just happy that these theories are not just me speculating about if an operator deceased anymore, but if all of humanity did instead. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because we are going to dive really deep today, and we will start by talking a little bit about oripathy. In the last few weeks we already discussed the various races of Arknights and all their physical traits and characteristics, mostly their appearance, and we also had a zero sanity discussion on the intensity of the animalistic features between the variants. But we did not really put an emphasis on mutations that are not related to genetics. Let me explain what I mean with one specific example. Estelle. Estelle is an Archosauria, a Crocs girl, and she is infected. One of her main features we can see are the thick, massive horns on her head. These are not a regular feature of her species, as one can see with the other pair of Crocs we have, and it's also explained in her operator files. Actually, there it is clearly stated that these horns are a mutation caused by her oripathy. If we now compare her OG art to her E2 art, we can not only see that she got a way cuter outfit, but also that all her horns grew longer and harder. Going by how the E2 art is supposed to show an operator after they have been with Rhodes Island for a long time, trained and grew stronger, basically a time skip, we can see that with the progression of her infection, her mutations grew stronger. This brings up the possibility of mutations caused by originium. We might say that there could be a correlation. And please notice how I said originium and not oripathy, because this not necessarily does need to have something to do with being infected. You see, originium is a mineral which is omnipresent in Terra. It is the main source of energy in this world. Practically every device you find here is powered by a little piece of it, every medic's and caster's staff has a bit in it, and every waifu as well. Even the ones who are not infected seem to have snorted a little bit of it, as you can see in their medical records. Originium is especially relevant when it comes to warfare as well. You see, someone like Skyfire has a bit of it in her staff in order to channel arts through it, while someone like Blaze channels her arts through the originium crystals inside of her body. Apart from the races with a natural high affinity to arts, the infected have more potential to become advanced arts users than healthy Donnies. Now, after we have talked a bit about the possible correlation of oripathy and mutations, the effects of originium, and the fact that everyone in Terra has a bit of magical rocks in them, let's make a quick detour and talk a bit about anatomy. If we look at basically every single animal-based operator, we can see that they have 4 ears in total. Look closely at any operator of your choice and you will find them. I will just use Provence as an example because she's cute. And it's definitely not just a mistake or just an artist's way of drawing them, that's too much playing it down. Dealing with the game's lore has become one of my main activities because of this channel, and I can definitely say that every single detail in this wonderfully handcrafted world has some sort of relevance and meaning to it, especially the little details we find in operators' artworks. Now, I am just a weep, not a biologist, but if we just think logically, if evolution exists in Terra, then why the hell would it tell genetics to develop human ears when it is not a secret that animal ones are just way better at both hearing and fluffing? Or is it the case that the basis of Terra's inhabitants were humans, who together with originium entering the world all evolved into cat girls and cat lads over time? Or was it the other way around? Animals either got human intelligence or appearance over time? If that's true, then humans must have existed before, so that they could be modeled after them. And this leads us to the 2 different theories I will proclaim in this video. Either humans were the original inhabitants of this world and slowly took on animalistic features, or animals took on human features. But not depending on that detail, the main theory is that this process was artificial. Let me elaborate. Originium is a mineral which basically holds unlimited power. It is able to give all of Terra enough energy, and most importantly, it makes its inhabitants incredibly powerful. Think about it. It turns regular people into powerful arts users at the cost of their health. Even those who are physically weak can turn into literal delete buttons, wiping out entire armies. Don't you agree that it might be possible that someone or something had the intention to create a caste of warriors only living in order to fight against something? That might explain the incredibly violent nature of Terra. Whoever possibly sprinkled this world with Originium purposely turned it into a gigantic battle royale so that only the strongest beings would be on top and ready to one day fight for a different purpose. This raises entirely new possibilities. If the races of Terra were indeed the product of an artificial process with the goal of creating supernaturals, superhuman super soldiers, then whomst created them? And even more importantly, against whomst were they created? To protect Terra against someone? Cthulhu? Dragons? Their baby? Or maybe it is not against an outward threat, and they are something similar to the Exos from Destiny, who were created in order to be used as soldiers for wars that no one remembers, and slowly became regular members of society, only that in the case of Arknights, that society is non-existent anymore, and the ones created as slaves now rule the world. Depending on if that theory is true or not, and the answers to the questions after that, this might be a key element of the Arknights endgame I talk about so often. I personally think that all of this, or at least something similar to this, is very likely to be revealed at some point in the future. Actually, the upcoming chapter 9 will have a few hints regarding a few things I said there, without spoiling too much. Gamers, the fact that once you find a possible answer to a question, countless new questions arise is absolutely amazing and just shows how much effort and depth the developers actually put in their creation. Speaking of the developers, I can guarantee you that somebody already commented about how they once confirmed in an interview that humans in fact were never existent in what? In Terra? Or in Arknights? I can't find the original interview, and also I can't speak Chinese yet, but I can say the following. If they said that humans never existed in Terra, then this does not contradict the theory, but instead opens a bunch of new possibilities. Because what even is Terra exactly? But that's a story for another day. Also, I don't want to cause a ruckus or anything, but it might take a few real life years before we get an answer to any of these questions. Which is actually a good thing, because it means that I can keep making a lot more of these theory videos. As always, don't keep your opinions about all of this to yourself, write a comment so that I can give it a big fat heart. I am sure that there's a bunch of holes in this theory to be pointed out. Thank you so much for watching and the support on all these videos. It means a lot. Now, remember to drink enough water, and I will see you next time. Cheers!